They should accept your show now.
Okay. Thank you, Richard.
Facebook has accepted your stream.
Okay. We're going live on
YouTube
Facebook.
has accepted your stream.
Live on YouTube.
Yeah, you don't have to keep repeating what I'm saying. Okay, now I'm going to, you want me to put it on your
Yes, please.
page? Okay.
What about Twitch? Did they accept?
They accepted it too.
Oh, okay.
All around.
Great.
All right. Now. All right, I'm trying to get Facebook to give me the link.
Okay. Barry, this is the 31st year that this show has been in the air.
Really? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Indeed, indeed.
We were on 11 years at Buffalo State
I'm
radio
going to have
station.
the link. I'm going to put it on your page now.
Okay. And then we were off for 6 months, and then Richard led us on to Think Twice Radio, and we've been here ever since.
Mm.
But he's constantly updating things.
Mm-hmm.
That's
No.
why now we're video instead of just audio.
It's called Think Twice, right?
Think Twice Radio. At one time, we had 60
Sal,
shows.
The way you set up your page, nobody can post on it except you.
All right. Thanks anyway. I'll take care of it later.
So all I can do is just either probably message you the post, right?
Yes.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay.
Okay, so everybody's happy with their headphones?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we have the comments up, so I am going to tell Sal to look at the timer, Sal,
Yep.
on this big screen, and when it says on the air, you're on the air, okay?
Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. And welcome to the Oracle of Enlightenment Vortex. I'm the observer, Sal Monaco. Joining us once again is the lovely Miss Terry Bronstein,
Hi, Sal.
the Buffalo Tuckin' Proud lady,
I'm happy to be here.
and former, was it dance teacher?
Professor at Erie Community College for
Yes.
39 years
Yes.
Oh.
and counting.
And joining
you.
us for the first time as a co-host is Mr. Joseph,
Labasco.
what he said.
It's an honor to be here. Thank
Yes.
you very much.
And joining us tonight for the very first time, he is, in fact, Western New York royalty. The Reverend
Stop.
Barry Lillis. How are you, Barry?
I'm doing great. I feel wonderful.
That's great. At 89, it's always good when you feel wonderful. And Richard has always said that this business, your art helps keep you going at all times.
Gives you that energy.
Yep.
And you have all that talent locked inside of you. You just get it out.
The interesting part of it is 5 times this year, 5 times, in the Buffalo News, on Facebook, on Google, and on the streets, I've been told, you can't be alive, you're dead. True story. I went to a restaurant, and a woman, she says, you look a lot like Barry Lillis. And my wife said, it is Barry Lillis. She said, no. Right here on Google, it says he's dead. So I've died 5 times this year.
That Google's been wrong before.
So
I'm having fun already.
that's
We are. We're having a riot here.
Now, when did you start at Channel 2?
1976,
Okay.
just before the blizzard of 77.
Oh, that was fun. I remember that. Was it interesting covering that great event in Western New York history?
It was a hoot. It was a hoot. I was in Niagara Falls, and the family looked at me, and they heard that the blizzard was happening. they said, you got to make it to that TV station. So an 18-wheeler trucker took me to Buffalo, dropped me off the TV station. We did the weather, and a guy called me. There was a driving ban, and a guy called me and he said, I want to take you to lunch. I said, you can't. He said, just get ready of it. So I go out the back door. He came to me in a dog sled.
Oh, my God.
And we went down Delaware Avenue and go, hey, hey, whoa, whoa.
I feel that was the worst of the worst. I mean,
Oh, it
people
was.
say the one we had a few years ago was the worst. No.
No.
Unless you lived through the blizzard of
Yeah,
77.
Nothing was worse than that.
Nothing.
Not
Right.
even Storm 2000.
Nothing.
Spot on, spot
Yeah.
on.
Yep. So, what was it like being weatherman for so many years?
It was great.
Yeah?
It was great. And I have to tell you, if I may tell you, my first weather job.
Go ahead.
First of all, it was terrible.
Oh,
And I was a booth. Do you know what a booth announcer is? Years ago, you sat in a booth. They didn't see you. They heard you.
right.
So you did commercials and PSAs and what have you on a microphone. Well, the weather guy, 2 minutes before airtime, got sick. He's standing at the weatherboard. He's got it all up there, but I'm going to throw up. And they said, you can't throw up on the air. So they grabbed me out of the booth, put me in front of the weatherboard, and said, do the weather, with 1 minute left. And I said, and they're hooking me up to these microphones, which were like a piece of Polish sausage in those days. So I said, I don't know what the weather is. They said, he's got it up there. He's got it. There's a high, there's a low, there's a cold front. Tell them stuff like that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello. I said, there's a high, there's a low, there's a cold front. Goodbye.
Well, you only had 1 minute, right?
Yeah.
Well-
So that was my first weather job. And it went downhill from there on.
How did you feel when this blizzard was hitting? How were you stressed? And how am I going to explain this? And
Well-
what do I say? And
Well, I fortunately for me, I had done the weather like in places like Fargo, North Dakota, and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and what have you. So I was kind of past the being rattled type
okay.
of stuff. Yeah. So actually, it was frankly, Buffalo is a wonderful television weather market. It's better than San Diego, where every day's the same day. So people watch you for the weather,
Yeah.
Yes. And locally, we got higher ratings always than the network newscasts. All right, I need to talk about this first because it's one of my favorites. You created the cat's pajamas.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about it.
Well, the cat's pajamas was an old term out of the 20s, I believe, the flapper days. Mm-hmm. And they'd say, it was a compliment. They'd say, she's the cat's pajamas, meaning she was wonderful and exciting and beautiful. So they asked me to put on this all-night show with movies, and they said, what do you want to call it? Barry's overnight show? And I said, how about something like, we're talking about pajamas and the cat's pajamas. Bing! And it just took off. And it was great. We had a lot of fun. We had people, I will tell you, we had some interesting. Do you know who Morgana, the kissing bandit, is? She used to run out and kiss the players in the
Yes.
office. Well, she was very, how can I say, voluptuous. Very voluptuous, very great woman. Well, I had these cat's pajamas, night shirts. And on the air, I said, Morgana, I said, thank you for being my guest, and I'd like to give you this, and I'm going to tell her to go to the ladies' room. She didn't wait. If you get my drift.
Yeah.
On the air.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, other than that, that was a stumper.
tell us about your domestic violence investigator position.
I was
How did you get involved in that? And
the Seneca Nation of Indians called me, and it was one of my downtimes, if you will. And they said, you work with a lot of people in trouble. I said, yes, I do. They said, we really need some help. We have a domestic violence situation. and we would like to talk to you about looking into their cases. So it was working with family situations, but also domestic violence.
Yeah.
And so I work with the Native American families who were in trouble, we'll say. So, and I'd go to court, and sometimes I'd literally take, for instance, we have one situation where there was a young couple. They were in a burned out car in a field in the midwinter with 2 babies. That's where they were living, in a burned out car.
Terrible.
So I went out with my staff and we grabbed them, put them in the car, warm car, and we took them to social services and we said they need help right now. Not fill out the application, we'll call you in a couple of days. We need some food, clothing, shelter. So that's what my job was, to see what people needed and try to help them.
Yeah. You said that, was it Salamanca you worked? Salamanca, New York?
Salamanca, I worked at radio.
Yeah?
WGGO Radio and WMNS in Olean, but Salamanca and Irving is where I work for the Seneca Nation of Indians.
I spent time there. I loved it there.
Oh, it's great.
Spent time in Ellicottville, too.
Oh, did you really? What a great town
Isn't
that
it,
is.
though?
Yes.
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 It definitely is.
Yes. Well, to get back to the cat's pajamas, you
Yes,
had you ran it for like 18 months. And,
Ran about 18 months
Uh-huh.
and was mostly movies. And what would you guess would be the biggest theme, the biggest movies that people wanted to see? I'll give it to you. Ready? I
Yeah.
used to get to hold the wire.
Martial arts.
That's
films.
it.
Okay.
That's it. The martial arts, kung fu.
Yeah, it was
Hey
a
Barry,
while
when are you
ago.
gonna get some more of those kung fu movies on? Yeah.
Wow.
And what year was that?
1982 to 84.
I was in high school.
You've grown.
I have. So, you were the co-founder of Kids Escaping
Yes,
Drugs
sir.
Renaissance House.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about that.
I had a drinking problem years ago. Fortunately, I've been sober over 40 years, which is a gift, a blessing. But at any rate, I was very interested in people with drinking problems. And Dick Gallagher and a couple other people came to me at one of my old watering holes, Sinatra's in downtown Buffalo. I don't know if you...
Oh, I love it there. I loved it.
So they come in, they laid out the blueprints and said, "Hey, look at this. This is what we're trying to do. Kids escape, or kids, a place for kids to go with problems with alcohol, drugs." I said, "Boy, this is great. How much money do you need?" And they said, "For the first 2 buildings, we need about $3 million to start." I said, "Okay. How much do you have?" And they said, "We've got about..." I said, "I'm sorry, what? We've got about..." I said, "I don't get it. You're saying 100? You mean you got $100,000? They said, "No, we got about $100."
Oh, my gosh.
Well, it took us 3 years. That was 1987. It took us 1990. We cut the ribbon, opened the front door, first 2 buildings, and 35 years ago, and now it's 7 buildings, and thousands of kids have gone through there, and many of
That's
them are well.
absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing. It's a gift. I consider it a gift. I was honored, and it was a gift to me personally.
That sounds
Tell
like
us about this private audience with Pope
I was
John.
just about to ask that. Pope John Paul II.
Yes, tell us
was-
about that.
I looked up to him when I was younger. I mean, he was the longest serving pope, the most traveled pope,
Yes.
the
Most
youngest
visible.
pope, most visible pope. They created the Pope Mobile for him. And when somebody took a shot at him, he looked into the eyes of that guy, and that guy apologized
Yes,
to him.
yes.
Was that something?
What was it like?
Well, first of all, I was over in Europe shooting a television documentary for Dr. Jeffrey Mileman, who was a
He was our
plastics-
neighbor.
Oh, you knew him, yeah. And also Amar Atwal, the eyeglass people. And it was my job to shoot this particular documentary for them. And we were over in Warsaw and shooting in the area. We get a call from the Vatican to come and have a private audience with Pope John Paul II. By the way, we had 3 SUVs, and they had very few SUVs in Poland. The ambassador, the American ambassador, said, "Listen, I want to caution you because SUVs get stolen off the street. We come out, we had 3, we got down to 2. Somebody stole one of our vehicles. So we get this call from the Vatican, we fly to Rome. We go in there, we're at St. Peter's. The Pope is coming around, shaking hands, greeting us. He give me a rosary and what have you. But he's about 3 feet away from me, and I'm always the smallest guy in the group. I'm a little guy. And everybody is tall, and they're trying to out-pious one another. Holy Father, thank you, Holy Father, thank you, thank you. And they're all bending over, so I'm doing the same. Holy Father, thank you. I said, why am I bending over? Why am I whispering? So I stood up, and he's like 2 feet away, and I said, good morning, Holy Father. And he goes, whoa!
Oh my gosh.
So then he started laughing, and he thought, this guy's a live one. So that's where I met him.
Wow.
What a
He was a nice person.
Yes, he was great. He was wonderful.
To be one-on-one like
the
that with
Pope.
him.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
my
thrilling.
gosh.
It's thrilling.
Especially John Paul II. He took office when I was in 5th grade.
You know, there was a pope that visited here
Yeah.
when I was a kid. I don't know if you know Niagara Falls, Hyde Park Stadium
Yes.
in Niagara Falls. Pope Pius XII
Oh,
was here, and I was a
I
kid.
never knew that.
Yeah. He was in kind of an open vehicle, and we're from St. Mary's School. We were all brought over to applaud and so on and so forth. Yeah.
John Paul II was here many times down at the harbor and a lot of places. And when he'd walk by and the kids would say, "We love you," he would turn to them and say, "But I love you more."
Good for him.
Yes.
Now, you were ordained?
Yes, I
Yes.
went to Christ the King.
Terry, stop reading my mind.
I have a habit of doing that.
I went to Christ the King Seminary,
Oh,
and I went to
wow.
another seminary, an Orthodox seminary in Indiana, and but they talked to me about becoming a Roman Catholic priest, and I said, no. I said, you know that thing celibate? They said, yeah. I'm with celebrate.
I like your humor.
I like girls.
Yes, yeah. Oh my goodness.
I like girls, so I won't be a Roman Catholic priest. So I became an Orthodox Catholic. It's actually the Orthodox Catholic Church, which is origins is out of the Syrian Antioch, Syria church.
Okay.
So that's what happened. So then I had a couple churches, and then for 28 years I was a chaplain, a teacher, and a therapist at the Erie County Medical Center. So, yeah.
Excuse me. It was there that you helped a lot of people in recovery because.
Well, I had all the behavioral health wards. There was 13 of them, and they're the lock wards. And I had the rehab and detox, and I did a lot of classes. And because of my own background, my own experiences, I had a lot of sense of empathy for them. So I would try to be their pal, walk with them in their sobriety journey for those that cared to do that.
You were a role model.
Thank you.
Did you ever run
Oh, yeah.
into any of your former students? Like
I have.
I was a teacher for 39 years, and I run into some of them, sometimes 3 a day.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, isn't it a great feeling?
Yes, it is, that you played a role in their life. You were a piece of that
What do they
puzzle.
say to you when they see you? Like, what's the first words out of their mouth? Like,
Well, oftentimes it is, they're like 16 years old when I met them, or some of them are 18 years old,
Right.
and now they're 50.
I know, mine too.
And I tell them, hey, remember me? And tell them, fill me in. I was one of your patients at ACMC, and life is great. And then they go over their life, and they're raising the kids, and they've got a good job. And, wonderful, wonderful.
And it's hard to remember their names. They
It
think
is.
you remember me. They'll say, oh, yes, definitely.
Even if you don't remember their names, you might at least remember their faces.
Right.
That's why they say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But they want you to know that that you did meet them before.
Yeah.
Now, you did a lot of work in the prisons, huh?
I did.
7
I-
prisons, 13 behavior awards.
Well, the 13 behavior wards were at ECMC,
Right.
but they would invite me to come in and do classes on chemical dependency at these different prisons. And that some of them were like Attica, and I'll be in prison for women, which was very interesting.
My goodness.
So, yeah, I did quite a bit of prison work at one time.
Wow. That must have been amazing.
But you know,
Helping those
the
people.
best part of those visits was leaving.
You've got that sense where you got to get out of there soon. Like, here it is, and I'm done. Yeah. It's
Well,
heartbreaking, though.
are you-
Oh, it's tough.
Yeah?
Especially you see some kid 19 years old, and he's facing 30 years.
It's
It's a
heartbreaking.
heartbreak. I mean, what do you say? Things will be okay. Things are going to be okay. They're going to be awfully
Yeah,
unhappy.
what do you say,
Yeah,
It's like,
Yeah.
And I'd go to court with him, and it's tough. I just was with some guy, and they took 35 years. Yeah, 35 years.
Well, I worked with kids at a few different organizations, and I understand exactly what you're saying. I
Yeah.
still see them even today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I ask them, although I've changed my modus operandi, the way I'm doing business with people with difficulties, they tell me their story, and it's oftentimes a heartbreak. I say, well, Johnny, gee, that's rough. What would you like to see happen here? Because I usually
way
was
to
a
come
fixer.
back, yeah.
I used to try to fix, but I was doing all the work. So I said, well, how would you like to see this play out? What do you want to see happen? Oh, I'd like to get my wife back and the kids back and stop going to jail. And, oh, great, that's great.
Yep.
Now, here's my question. What do you think you can do to make it happen?
Very good. Yes, that's called
Well, I
patient
could stop
patient-oriented care.
drinking, I guess. Hey,
well, they
there's
know
the
what
time.
they should do,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. So then I say, and, anywhere in that journey that I can help you, I'll be glad to do that. But sounds like you've got some work to do, too, Johnny.
Yeah, I'm fighting a little battle with my weight, so I understand.
No,
It's not easy. It's easier said than done.
sure it is.
but
It's tough.
I'm working on it.
It's tough.
Yeah. Joe, did you have a question?
Yeah, I'd like to ask, I think the audience is going to want to know about your experience surviving stage 4 cancer. I think that would be very inspirational to a lot of people.
I thank you for bringing that up, Joe. I was a smoker. Okay, stopped smoking many years ago, but you can do the damage. And so I got a sore throat, and it wouldn't go away. And it was a bear, and I do the lozenges and the
Yeah.
sprays and all that. So I went to the doctors, and a PA says, I want to look at something. And I saw him out the door talking to the doctor like they were concerned. They said, we have to do a biopsy. We see something on your tongue. Ooh, okay. So to make a long story short, they come back and they said, we're sorry to tell you you have stage 4 cancer in the neck, in the throat, and in the tongue. And interesting enough, I do a lot of reliance on God. And I said, that's interesting. I've never had cancer before, and I don't know anything about cancer, but I know you do. Thy will be done. You drive. You take it. Well, I went all the protocols. I did 33 radiations, 7 in the morning, every morning. I did chemo, I did surgery, and I wore the feeding tube for 6 months. You know how that works.
Yes.
So it's like a baby formula for 6 months. And I survived. I'm cancer-free. That was 2014. As it stands.
He was looking out for you, this man
Well,
up there.
I believe that.
I do
believe
too.
that.
Me too.
I have a friend of mine who likes to call Dr. God. Dr. God is in charge.
But now though I've learned something. Sometimes I come across situations I just don't know what the answer is. Like it'll be somebody in the family, and
Yeah.
you want to help, and I don't know what to do. God, you drive. Thy will be done. I have to turn this over to you. And I'm going to take a seat instead of the driver's seat in the passenger seat. Right? So I'm going to go into partnership with God, but I'm going to be the junior partner. Right? I like the gopher, God's gopher. What do you want me to do today? Type of thing. And it seems to work out pretty good.
Now, you stayed in Buffalo pretty much your entire life.
I did.
What
Well,
is it about Buffalo? I mean, other than your little gigs here and there.
She's
what is
doing
it about?
again.
What is it?
She's asking the question I'm about to ask.
Oh my gosh! What is it about? What?
Yeah, I mean,
Why did you stay in Buffalo? What was it about Buffalo that attracted you so much?
yeah, you started doing it in 1962, 63?
That's radio.
And, radio. But I mean, you came to, when did you come to Buffalo?
I was born and raised here.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm
okay.
Western New York.
You stayed
Right.
in-
I was
So-
born in Niagara Falls.
So you went to these other places, Dayton, Ohio, Fargo, North Dakota.
Yeah, that was the journey, broadcast journey.
Uh-huh. And then when you came back to Buffalo to settle back, what attracted you to staying here after being in all these other places?
Well, I kind of knew the temperament a little bit, and I knew a lot of people here. And also, as time went by, you've got an anchor here. You know what I mean? You know the people. You know who to
comfortable.
call friends.
Yeah.
Comfortable. So, and I'll be up front with you. For the weatherman to say this, it's almost hypocrisy, but I don't like the weather. No, I'm talking about, I don't know if you know this. I was on radio until March the 9th of this year at WEBR. And I had to drive in at 3 o'clock in the morning to go on the air. And so here it is, this old man at 3 in the morning in a snowstorm going into the radio station. And I said, I'm not having a happy time.
No way.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't let you do it from home.
I don't like that.
Oh, you don't?
I need the ambiance. It's kind of like saying you're a stage actor, and someone says, well, couldn't you just do that from the house? It's not the same. You need that feeling, right? You're an
Right.
actor. you
Yes.
know that.
Right. Now, if I was a young student and I came up to you, and I have this a lot too when I was working, and I ask you, gee, Mr. Lillis, tell me about your communication course. Tell me, I would like to take it, but what is it about?
Oh, mine?
Well,
The one that I
yeah,
taught?
one that you taught.
Okay.
Tell me what it is because I'm interested in taking it.
Okay. I'm thinking about especially women. Women, I like women. But I think women in particular have a voice that oftentimes isn't heard. And oftentimes they are very smart, smarter than he is, oftentimes, but have been told to kind of, why don't you just go sit down? We'll take care of it, you know? And I thought, I think some people just don't win because they have a communications problem. For instance, looking at somebody in the eyes
While you're talking to him.
while you're talking to them. How do you do that if you can't look somebody in the eyes? For instance, one of my students would come up to me. She was like 4'11". Hello, Miss Lewis, I want to ask you a question. I don't know why people don't want to listen to me. And I said, because you talk like a mouse.
Oh, my
And
God.
I said, yeah, you talk. Let me tell you something. I'm going to show you how to articulate and get some volume in your throat.
Bring it
and a
from
throat.
here.
Absolutely. You know, and I'm going to tell you how to formulate what you're about to say so that it has impact and people will listen to you. How to use body language type of thing, as opposed to, I'm very sorry to be here. Thank you very much. That does nothing. You're on a stage. And you know, we're all salesmen in life. I don't care if you're not selling in the sense of a product. You are the product type of thing. And the more effective you are in doing that, the more successful the results will be.
Yeah.
So that's what I laid it out for people that were having problems communicating. For instance, a small thing. I look at Sal, and let's say Sal is interviewing me for this big job, $250,000 paid. But I have a problem, so I'm doing this while I say, yeah. So I'm looking over here. Well, Sal, it's good to be here, and I can't look at Sal in the eye, right? So I show him, okay, I'm going to show you how to do it. Sal, I need that job, and I'm going to be the best guy you've ever hired for that job, see? And you say, well, he looks right in my eye. But I didn't. I looked at the bridge of your nose.
Oh.
And I can hang in there all day looking at the bridge of your nose when I can't look you in the eye. So that, and you don't have to buy it. You don't have to send to Amazon to get it. It's just a natural, you know.
Yeah.
That was one of the things as a teacher that I got a lot was, gee, Mrs. Bronstein, I love to talk to you. You look at me.
Ah, there you go.
It's not like you look off to the side.
Yeah, like you're not interested.
Or like you're in thought. You look right at me.
Yeah.
I like that about you. Honest to God, I got that so many times.
Oh, great. You're spot on. Spot
You know.
on, lady.
Yeah.
Can I piggyback on Terry's question?
Go ahead.
What you've seen how the business has changed in your lifetime. What advice would you give to those in general that want to get into it?
Understanding of the way it is now, it is a tougher business than when I got in. Okay? The loyalties that used to be there are not there.
Ain't that
I
the
mean,
truth?
Yeah. And that from the top to the bottom. The guy that owned it or the woman that owned the station years ago, they lived down the street from you. They were local. Their kids went to school with your kids. That's non-existent. A lot of these companies are owned by people who don't even know they own them. You know what I mean? It's paper to them. So the loyalty is gone, all right? Hence, the loyalty from the other way is gone. There's no, I love this station. You know, they treat me so great. Okay, well, I'll give you, do you know who Kevin O'Connell is?
Yes.
Yes.
Give you a case in point. Kevin, who's a dear friend, he was my competitor on Channel 4 years ago. And I got wind that they were going to replace him. And I said, hello, Kev, hey, watch your back, pal. They said, what's the matter? They're talking about replacing you. No, man. They told me how much they love me recently. Oh, really? Okay. Just watch your back. So he called me back. He said, I went in to see the general manager. They're thinking about replacing you.
Oh my goodness.
But they give him the spiel about, oh, you're our guy. You're the man. See? So that's just the way it is.
Don't turn around. They'll knife you in the back.
So there you have it. It's changed. But you can still be, and this, you brought it up, Joe, this applies to almost all business. The person that takes the ball and runs with it, in other words, does not accept, oh, they'll never work out, they'll never work, you're going to run into that. Yes, it will work out. You want it? Go get it, type of thing.
Yes.
You know, and then tomorrow when that comes, go get it again.
Yes.
Go get it again. I went to my first radio station. I was so terrible, I had mic fright. It's obvious like I'm losing it. I had mic fright in those days, and I would get on the air and go, in the news today, there was a crash on 4th and Main. And my heart's going to come through my chest, right? Well, I was so bad. This is a little radio station. Everybody there had no talent because they were new. They were brand new to broadcasting. Talented people. Those people were telling me I should get out of the business. These are the people with no talent.
Really?
And I'm the only one that stayed in the business. Yeah. So keep going. I was so stupid, I didn't realize how bad I was. So you keep on pushing.
And you
keep on
get better
pushing.
and better as
Yep.
you push.
Keep on pushing.
Was that the funny radio station story you talked about before the show?
No, actually, it's very interesting. Salamanca.
Right.
And the disc jockey sat at the board, turntables in those days. Those are gone, by the way. That's all gone. Reel-to-reel Ampex tapes, what had cartridge, all gone. It's all computer done. So I'm sitting here, right behind me about a foot is the window to the outside Main Street. Right around the corner is the Salamanca Trust Bank with a sign, time, and temperature. When it's time for news, you ran downstairs to the store and bought a newspaper. You brought it up, and oh, here's the news. And you went, and started reading on the news, right? But where do you get, and they had the weather on the Salamanca Press paper, so you could read it. But where do you get the temperature? Well, the temperature was in that sign down the street at the bank. So what I did, I got a broom handle, and I tied a rear view mirror to the end of the broom handle. So I'd have the window open with my broom handle, and I'd say, and that's the weather. Here's the temperature. And I'd lean out and I'd say it's 42 degrees. No, it's 24 degrees.
Oh, wow.
That's hilarious.
That's wild.
You can't make that
Such
up.
a story.
And one last story about broadcasting that I love is I wanted to be in first television job. I wanted to be an anchorman like this. You remember that type of anchorman? You know what I'm saying? I'm very cute type of anchor. So I was trying to do the news like this. Good evening in the news today. There was a report of an accident at 4th of May. And, you know, I'm going to be handsome doing the news. Eh? Well, the boss called me in, and he was a Southern boy, and he said, Barry, I want to talk to you. He said, why in the heck are you talking that way? I said, what way, sir? Good evening in the news today. I said, well, that's television announcer talk. He said, Barry, I want to ask you a question. You ever call your mama? I said, yeah. He said, when you call her, you say, you don't go, hello, mother, it's me, your son, Barry. He said, you go, hi, Mom, how you doing? I said, yeah. He said, see that big black box pointing at you in the studio with the little red light? That ain't nothing but a big telephone, Barry. It said, my point was, just talk to the people. Stop announcing to the people.
Advice you'll never forget. Never forget.
And that was it. I decided, you know, you're talking to the camera like it's a guy or a gal. Like here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that got you more relaxed.
It
by
did,
doing
it
it.
did. And you stop worrying about, I blew a word, so what?
Yeah.
So what?
So tell us about the telethons you did, especially the Jerry Lewis one.
Jerry Lewis, we would go out every year to either Las Vegas or to Hollywood, and they would prep us for the telethon. And we would do the telethon, and we started out, it was, I think, 22 and a half hours straight in those days. Now it's gotten down, more recent years, like
12.
5 years or so, whatever, a few, considerably less. But I met him every year, and I learned something from this guy, and it was very helpful. I was very insecure in myself. And he was talking about doing a command performance in front of the Queen of England. He said there were about 1,000 people there. He said I was spot on. I was terrific. 999 people were laughing and applauding and da. He said that one SOB on the 5th row, he said he looked like he was so bored. He said I hated him and he ruined my night.
Oh.
One person
Oh, my
didn't like him. And I said, that's kind of me. I want everybody to love me. And that's impossible.
Yeah. When I was working stage and I couldn't see, I just left it that way. Then I didn't have to look at anybody's
There you
faces.
go.
It was the way it was. I'm telling you the truth. I couldn't even see the first row, and I loved it. I
Yes,
didn't get
I hear
nervous
you.
or anything.
Words to live by.
So that's the way I feel. And I feel that way in life. There's some people, it's virtually impossible for everybody to love you. It's just because that's why Perry's ice cream, I don't like mint. But somebody does because we have different tastes.
Yeah.
And that applies to people as well.
Exactly.
Yep. Well, but how did you hold out for that many hours? I mean, were you up all the time, or did you take breaks, or?
Well, you're cutting away to their network, to the Jerry Lewis Labor Day Network type of thing, and you could sit down and have coffee and what have you. But you just hunkered down and did it. You just did it. And you had to, it almost complimented what you were doing because you were starting to look raggedy. It made you look like you were really into this thing, you know, type of thing. But then they cut it all back, and telethons to some degree have gone by the wayside.
They have, yeah.
Variety Club still does things, but most of their money is gotten prior to the telethon. The phone calls bring in very little now.
I think that's partially because of crowdfunding on the internet. You know, I mean the Indiegogo, GoFundMe.
Yes.
What's
It's a
the other
different
one?
time. Different
Yeah.
time. And if you remember,
Kickstarter. That's the other one I was trying
and
to.
years ago, if you remember going back into years ago, telethons were like watching the Super Bowl. Everybody wanted to see them.
They were
Yeah.
big time, yes.
But not so much.
No.
Because they had a lot of famous people on,
Yes,
people that
yeah.
were famous locally.
Yes.
Local
Yeah.
Yes.
As
stars.
They didn't have the
as
internet and all this other.
national.
People were more tied to the
They
TV.
were. They were.
Well, yeah, I mean, TV isn't what it used to be now that we have
Right.
the internet. I mean, they made the joke on The Simpsons where the news TV show came on and the guy said, "Here we are bringing you the news you got on the internet an hour and a half ago."
Yeah. Yeah.
And some people don't even pay for TV anymore
Yeah.
because they just watch what they want off of streaming services.
My mother used to say, I got to watch the 6 o'clock news
Yeah.
to find out what's going on or to get the weather and all that.
You don't
Now
have
you
to
could
do-
turn anything on anytime and get
Yeah.
the weather.
Yeah, but like it's like when I was growing up in the 70s, you turned on you'd be sitting down to eat with your family at 6 o'clock and you'd turn the TV on and be watching the news of whichever channel you were watching, whether it was Barry or my dearly departed friend Irv Weinstein or any of the others, you know, and they put that to use in the movie with Ron Burgundy. What was it called?
Anchorman.
Anchorman,
Yeah,
yeah.
I like that
The point
Anchorman.
that they were the 6 o'clock news was very important to families as they were sitting down to eat. I mean, in those days, I actually sat with my parents and my brother and our dog, and we had dinner together. Now it's like if you could get your family together for dinner on Sundays, that's amazing.
yeah.
Or holidays, you know,
Yeah.
because
For everybody, right?
Yeah, even your immediate family.
Well, because they didn't have the internet then.
That's right.
That was it. No
Well,
cell phones.
Yeah, well, things
People
are just
texting, yeah.
crazy. Our lives are just crazier now because, like you said, you don't have to be at a TV to watch something. You can just call it up on demand
Sure.
or on the internet or something like that.
Sure.
And you're digging up old TV shows that you missed because you weren't in front of the TV.
The first time.
David Cassidy told me he never saw his show, The Partridge Family, when it was originally on because there was no VCRs and it was always on Friday nights and he was out doing bands, you know, so he never got to see his own show until later. So like, I don't know how that guy slept for those years because he was doing the Partridge Family during the day, doing promos in the early
And
evening.
performing concerts.
He was performing concerts on the weekends. At night, he was in the studio recording music. So, yeah, which is why he eventually left because he was so burned out. But that's the kind of thing. I mean, my family used to yell at me because I wanted to be home to watch a certain program or something, and if I wasn't, I would. When I was a kid, if I wasn't, I would throw a fit. I mean, it's like, I'm happy that that's not the case anymore. But guys like you, Barry, you kept families together because they wanted to sit there and they wanted to watch you guys tell us what was going on, tell us what the weather is. I mean. I remember that old joke where the kid would come out dressed funny and he'd go, "My mother dresses me funny because of Don Paul."
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, you guys were like the newscasters. You were the modern day bards of this society.
good time.
We all looked
Yeah.
up to
Yes.
you.
You
Yes.
I have to
Exactly.
tell you one story that you might enjoy this. The Jerry Lewis Labor Day Telethon weekend. This is go back into time, and I was hosting, and so I happened to walk out into the lobby, and there was a man in civilian clothes, and he come up and he said, "Barry Lillis." And I said, "Hello." He said, "I'm Sergeant O'Flaherty from the Constable, Toronto Constable, whatever it was." So he's a police officer from Canada. "How do you do, sir?" He said, "It's good to see you, lad." He said, "By the way," he said, "I see you got a jumper." I said, "Thank you." "Yeah." "A jumper? A jumper's a woman's garment or something? Didn't they used to call them
Yeah, like they had suspenders, jumpers.
jumper.
It was all one piece.
I said, a jumper? What do you mean a jumper?" He said, "The man jumping off the building."
Oh,
I said, "What man jumping off the building?" "Across the street, there's a 10-story high building across from Channel 2. I said, "You're kidding." So I run out there, and there's a crowd pointing up. The guy is hanging over the
oh
facade,
my goodness.
Across from Channel 2.
and his feet are on a little slat,
Oh,
10 stories up, and he's going to jump. And they got the, what is it, the net or
the
the
net.
jump. The firemen are there, the policemen are there, and and I'm doing, "Oh, this is awful." So a man rubbed over. He said, "I'm Reverend so-and-so." He said, "Barry, you got to talk him down." I said, "Talk him down?" I said, "He's thinking about coming down. You want to talk him up?" "Oh, my God, well, how could you talk? What do you say?" Huh? So I said, "What's the guy's name?" And he's hanging down. I said, David. "Hey, David, how you doing?" The guy's going to jump off a building. "How you
Now you
doing?"
brought it.
And he looks down at me like, "Are you nuts? How am I doing?" I said, "What can I say to him? I got to say, he's heard your mother loves you. Life is worth living. Don't kill you." He's heard all that. What can I say? So I yelled, "Hey, David, the Jerry Lewis Labor Day Telethon is this weekend. Don't forget to call in your pledge."
Oh, did you? Oh.
And he goes like this. He goes, and he climbs back to safety.
Oh,
And I've been asked when I tell that story, "What if he had jumped?" I don't know.
Well, it worked.
Yeah,
But I mean, he was going to jump anyway, so
he didn't jump on that time. But that was
exactly.
fun. The Jerry Lewis Labor Day Telethon.
I would like to ask Barry if he plans on writing his memoirs. I'm sure a lot in the audience would love to read about
You know, I
life.
thought about that, but I wrote a book called Instant Speaking for people that were having problems with giving talks or just general conversations, and it was actually a small book, a very small book, and it was published. It wasn't I didn't pay for it or anything. They gave me a check for about 20 years. But to make a long story short, book writing is very consuming.
Is it ever?
And at my age, frankly, I want to do some stuff with my wife and travel and what have you. Because she brings it up. She's 77. Beautiful woman. And she said to me, "One of these days we're not going to be able to do. So let's do it when we can, which is right now." So I don't want to spend too much time on book writing, frankly.
Sure.
So, where do we go
I've
from
been
here?
trying to write a book for years.
Yeah.
And I have so many friends who are published authors, and they make it look so easy, but it's not. That's why I prefer the visual.
Oh, I love it.
That's our wedding picture.
Oh,
It's
my
beautiful.
gosh. Beautiful.
That's beautiful.
Here, you look at him and then I'll look at him.
Absolutely beautiful. Oh my God, that's amazing. And that was picture taken when? How long ago?
Well, we got married 2 years ago.
Okay.
And that's the Buffalo Broadcasters Association. I was in the Hall of Fame, and they had us get our pictures taken.
Wait, you got married how long ago?
2.5 years. Well, August of 22.
That's wonderful.
Oh, wow. See, there's still hope.
We
no
didn't
matter
have
how
to
old
get
you
married, though.
Yeah.
You are a really you are a really blessed man. You are very blessed.
Oh, but the key is you can be blessed and not think you're blessed. I know I'm blessed.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm.
You feel it in your heart. You know
Yeah, yeah.
that it's
Life is
there.
good.
Yes. How did you meet?
Online. Online, yeah.
See, there's hope for that too, folks.
Let me look at these.
I've met a couple of
online.
girls online, and well, one worked out for about 8 months, and one worked out for a couple dates. And well,
She's
anyway,
absolutely lovely, Barry.
nobody
Thank you,
wants to.
thank
Yeah,
you.
she is.
Beautiful.
Do you have kids, Barry? Do
Pardon me?
you have kids?
Oh yeah.
How many?
I have 5, and she has 2. My drinking killed off a lot of relationship with children, which is an old story. I was not there. I cut into the chase. I was not there as a father, should be. So I failed at that miserably. And by the time I got sober, they were well on their way of their own lives. So that story is a sad story, but I've had to accept it.
How many times were you married?
This time it'd be 4. Yeah, that's my reaction. Woo. Well, no, I married for lust.
So beautiful.
I just
This woman I love, but I was an immature, I call a 5-year-old child with gray hair. I was immature, I was stupid, my behavior was bad, and I was more interested in lust than love. So that's the way it was. But that's what drinkers do. They do dumb stuff, very dumb stuff.
yeah, I know. I've known a few.
And now you got the love of your life.
Yeah, and I was telling Joe and I was telling Sal, I got sober 40 years ago and stayed sober. And I must tell you, I was on my knees in tears the day I got sober. And I just told God, you got to drive.
Yes.
And I'm doing a rotten job. So.
Yeah, our friend Gordon Blake does the same thing you do, and he's been sober for about as long. And,
Wow, good for him.
Yeah. He's in Hollywood right now, making TV shows and movies.
Good.
And,
Right.
yeah, he
You
comes
know-
back once a year to hang with us and help us out and stuff.
Buffalo is noted for their food. What
Oh.
would you say is your favorite Buffalo food? What is your favorite, since we are noted for so many different types of cuisine?
That's very true.
I like. You're gonna. I'm gonna disgrace myself when I tell you that. My wife, who is a superb cook. I mean, she's in the kitchen. Now, honey, I'll be right back. I'm over at Wendy's having chicken nuggets. So, but yeah, I like the food I shouldn't eat.
Don't we all? But you made it to 89, so I guess it's not that bad.
No, I'm okay. I have no complaints. You know, and one of the reporters asked me if there's anything I'd like to say. It's the true story is, any setbacks, essentially, I did it. I'm responsible for the. You know, it's not like but the boss. No, if I got fired, it's because I got fired because of me. Type. I had a job in Pittsburgh that paid $250,000.
Whoa.
And I got fired, and the next job, because my reputation was bad at that time, the next job I got paid $200 a week. So go from $250,000 to $200 a week. So It's just the way it is. But I know that's our lot in life. People who have drinking problems, they're in for trouble. They're in for trouble.
I know.
And I call it the malevolent splash, because not only are they in for trouble, they splash on people.
They
Children, family, bosses,
I
banks.
know.
others get hurt. Yes.
Others get hurt.
Yeah,
The reverse is true. If you change that and get sober, now you can do the benevolent splash.
That's very true.
You know, you can be a good influence in people's lives.
yeah.
So, not to do a downer, but that's true. It's played a major role in my life.
Well, I used to have a friend who was like a sister to me, and I had to. Her alcoholism got so bad after 15 years that I just had to cut her loose. And
People
To
don't
this
want to be
day.
around us. I understand. I didn't want to be around me. Now, there's a term. Everywhere I went, I showed up. You know.
Yeah.
Everywhere I went, I showed up. It's like, what a bummer. And I was at my granddaughter's graduation this past weekend, Eastman School of Music. She graduated and is going on for her master's, full scholarship at Yale, and she's being paid as a teacher as well.
I'm so proud of her.
Yeah, I mean, and I got another grandson. He's in North Texas University. I wish I had that kid's looks. The guy's a Hollywood movie star. Look. So, yeah. So we're blessed. We're blessed.
Tell
Sounds
us
like
one
that.
of your childhood memories. We all have one, but your favorite childhood memory
Favorite
that always stayed with you, or
Oh,
you'll
well,
never.
you're Italian, right?
Oh,
Yes,
of course,
I'm Italian,
yes.
yeah, we're all Italian.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
you Italian?
Oh, yeah. The full
All right.
blood. Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
you'll
definitely.
appreciate this. I'm an Irishman. Right? But my mother was what we call the Black Irish. She had jet black hair with olive eyes and what have you. And I had very dark hair. And they took us for Italians. We were Irish in Niagara Falls. Now, Little Italy in Niagara Falls is Pine Avenue.
Yes.
Okay? That's 2 blocks from my house.
Uh-huh.
When I turned 13, 14 years old, I started noticing that the girls in Little Italy were va-va-voom. I mean, they were beautiful, like these exotic-looking girls. Well, in those days, if you were an Italian boy, you could date an Italian girl. But if you were an Irish boy, you couldn't date an Italian girl.
You'd have to deal with the
Mama
family.
and
huh?
Papa would not like that, right? So guess who became Nicky Fettuccine?
Yeah.
I changed my name. Tony Tedesco. Or I throw these names out, and they say, "Mama, Daddy, this is Tony Tedesco. Nice to see you."
It worked.
And they play Mora. And anybody remember Mora? It was an Italian quattro, sei, nove.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
cool.
wow.
So
Yeah.
I was a phony, really. Yeah.
But it
You-
worked.
You,
It
were an
worked.
actor. You're an actor. You know
That's
what
it.
you do. As a teacher, I was an actor.
That's true.
Getting up in front of people, whether you're a priest,
That's true.
a teacher.
Right. So it's
you're-
not just saying words.
Yeah.
It's word pictures,
Oh,
body language.
every
You
day
know.
you have to get up and you have to go to work and you have to be a good actor at what you
Absolutely.
do.
Yeah, have you done any movies or plays or anything?
I was in one. I was in one movie,
What?
and I was a little bit reluctant to talk about it.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't a porno. Although I would have liked that. I get a call from the film producer. Said we are in need of someone who can speak English with a Mexican accent. And I said, yeah, I do accents. And so they listened to me. I auditioned. They said, you're our guy. I said, I'm going to be in the movie. They said, not only will you be in the movie, you'll be the star of the... Wow. Hello, Ma. It's your little boy. Yeah, the one you thought was going to fail. I'm going to be in a movie. I'm going to be a movie
Okay.
star.
Okay.
And I said, oh, so I'm going to talk to them.
Barry, you need to pull the blue thing back down,
There we go.
or else
I'm sorry
so the
about
audience can hear you.
I have a thing called essential tremors. Okay,
Yes, I know.
Okay. At any rate, make a long story short, I said, tell me about the movie. They said, well, you're going to be the movie star, but they're not going to see you. How can I be the movie star? Hey, Mom, hold on that one. Yeah, I'm going to be a movie star, but they're not going to see me. I'll tell you later. Boom. So tell me about the movie. I said, well, I said, what's the name of the movie? They said, La Cucaracha. I said, La Cucaracha, what does that mean? The cockroach. You're the main cockroach. Hey, Ma, forget the movie. So I played a cockroach.
Okay.
That's something.
That's amazing.
That is wild.
That's wild.
So you knew a guy who played the cockroach.
Hey, voicing cartoons is very, very big now.
My granddaughter was a Pokemon.
Uh-huh.
The voices of Pokemon.
Very
Yeah,
nice. Yeah, it was a lot.
Yeah, those voiceovers are very good to
Yeah,
get
they
into.
make. Yeah, I have a lot of friends who do them, and they're really good. Okay, we have about 1 minute and 20 seconds. I believe you mentioned that Barry was domestic violence inspector for the health department. Yeah. So is there anything else you'd like to talk about for the last minute or
No,
so?
other than I thank you for this invitation to be with you wonderful people.
Happy to have you.
Happy to
thank
have
you.
you. Yeah.
Honored. Honored. It's an honor.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Exactly, Joe.
And for the folks that are watching,
Yep.
God bless you. God bless you. And God bless you.
Thank you so much, Barry. I mean, you've been a real influence on a lot of people, and you've even made me feel better about myself. You know, you're a real, what would you call it, Joe?
He's an inspiration.
Yeah.
I've also learned
You
a lot of life.
enlighten people.
I've also learned a lot of life lessons from listening to him speak tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so we have about 17 seconds left, so I want to thank Terry and Joe for helping me out once again, and I
Thank
want
you.
to thank Barry for giving us this time. We appreciate it, as you are, of course, Western New York royalty. So for the Oracle of Enlightenment Vortex, this is the Observer saying, God bless you.
God bless everybody.
Thank you, Barry.
Joe.